Okay, let's dive into a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending idea. What if we could teach an AI to govern itself? I mean, not with us humans constantly looking over its shoulder, but by giving it a set of rules, like a constitution, and then teaching it how to follow them. It's a pretty radical concept, and it's called constitutional AI. Let's break down what that really means. This quote right here, it's the whole idea in a nutshell. It's about empowering an AI to be its own supervisor. So instead of us having to check every single thing it does, the AI learns to check itself. This is the absolute core principle behind this whole new way of thinking about AI safety. So what is constitutional AI exactly? Well, think of it like this. It's a method where we give an AI a set of written principles to live by. But here's the magic part. The key is the self-critique. The AI generates a response. Then it actually stops and checks it against its own constitution. And if it doesn't measure up, it fixes it. It's this constant loop of self-improvement all happening inside the AI itself. So, yeah, what does it really mean to create a constitution for an AI? You got to think of it like drafting a founding document, but you're doing it for a digital mind. Pretty wild, right?
And this, of course, leads us to the most interesting question of all. How in the world does an AI actually teach itself to follow a set of rules? It sounds a little bit like science fiction, I know, but the way it works is actually surprisingly logical.
All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Here's the step-by-step process that lets an AI basically internalize its own rulebook.
It really just boils down to these three core steps. First, step one, the AI is giving its principles. That's the Constitution. Step two, and this is the real game changer, it critiques its own work. It comes up with an answer and then asks itself, hey, does this break any of my rules? And finally, step three, based on that internal critique, it revises its own answer. It's this cycle of learning and relearning where the AI is basically both the student and the teacher.
Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, let's put it next to the way things have been done for a while now, which is called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. With RLHF, you need a constant stream of humans telling the AI, yep, that's good, or nope, that's bad. But with constitutional AI, it flips that script. The guiding force moves inward. It's all about self-correction, not constant human correction.
But, with any tech this powerful, there are always two sides to the coin. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. So we've got to look at both the incredible promise of this approach and the very real peril that could come with it. Let's start with the good stuff, the promise. For starters, you get way more consistent behavior from the AI because it's always checking its work against the same set of rules. Second, it's just so much more scalable. The Constitution lets the AI guide itself, which means you don't need a massive army of human labelers, which has been a huge bottleneck. And third, you get transparency. The rules the AI is following are literally written down for anyone to go and look at.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty fantastic, doesn't it? But it brings up a really critical and, frankly, a potentially dangerous question. What happens if the principles we give the AI, the actual rules in its constitution, are flawed from the get-go? And that right there is the peril. See, a poorly written rule can cause the AI to pump out bad or even harmful answers over and over again. The whole system is only as good as the rules it's given. It also means that a constitution can just bake in the biases of whoever wrote it, which, of course, leads to the biggest challenge of all. Who on earth gets to decide what those rules should be?
And that question brings the focus right back around to us, to people. Our job here totally changes. We're not the constant supervisors anymore. We become the thoughtful architects, the ones who have to design the rules in the first place.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The success of constitutional AI doesn't really depend on how smart the AI is. It depends entirely on our ability to write a constitution that's clear, that's balanced, and, this is so important, one that's evolving. These principles have to be able to change, just like the world they operate in.
Which leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If an AI is going to be governed by a constitution that will literally shape its entire worldview, who gets to be its founder? Who writes that first draft? That is a question that, honestly, we're all going to have to figure out together.